Sean Terry here. What is up? Hello. Today is March 1st. It is March already. Do you believe it? Time's flying by when you're having fun, loving the business. So it's March 1st, 2017, and today is the Flip2Freedom live coaching call. And glad to have you guys here. How's it going? Good. Let me see here. Cool. So if you guys can hear me okay, see me okay, please let me know. I just want to make sure we have audio. Last week we didn't have audio, so I want to see how you guys. What's up, Rashard? What's up, Kyle? Good. Norg. Excited. Excited is a good thing. Got to be pumped about this business. Hello. Good morning. How's it going, Mike? Cool. David, what's up? Fantastic. JT, cool. So you guys are all rocking. Awesome. What's up, Joe? Cool. All righty. Bone baby. Cool. What's up? Okay. So if you are brand new and joining us for the first time on the live coaching call, we typically do these every 2 weeks. Get on here and we cover give you some updates of what's going on. What's up, Daniel? Updates, Tony, what's happening? Tony, get a gold again on Flip2Freedom Podcast this time next year. That'd be cool. Yeah, you get famous real quick on the podcast. Everybody and their brother, reaches out to you when you have that. Here's first time. HD, first time, man. Congratulations. So if you're here for the first time, we do this typically every 2 weeks, unless I'm traveling or unless I'm on like out of town. Or what's up, Kim? How you doing? Steve, how's it going? First time. Congratulations. Glad to have you guys here. I'm pumped. So we do these every 2 weeks, and what we do is I'll typically cover stuff that's going on in my business or stuff that's talking to people and what's up. Yeah, exactly. James, Chelsea's out of town right now. She's in Utah. So when she gets back, I'm sure I will get the email and the update about your story. Yeah. So she's out of town, James. So I'm sure she'll get to you. So anyway, so the bottom line is we do these calls every couple weeks and get on here and talk about stuff going on in the business, stuff that's happening, then get on there and answer your questions. Grace, how you doing? Glad to have you on the call as well. So different things, updates. First, you make sure you go listen to the new podcast. I'll give you guys the link here, and I'll put it in here for you. Hold on, let me put the link in here for you. So here's, no, I don't want to do that. No, not yet. I want to do that. Okay, so sorry. So here is the new podcast. I talk about direct mail, millions, the science of direct mail for real estate wholesalers. Basically, what I do is talk about this is basically how to start your part-time wholesaling business, how direct mail is like fishing. So I break down direct mail inside and out. Listen to this podcast because it answers a lot of questions that people have about frequency, about what to mail, how to mail it, the two different mailing lists between distress list and all the other lists. But this answers a ton of questions about that. So go listen to that. That's at flip2freedom.com. I just gave you guys the link to go check that out. So that's the newest podcast, and it will give you a bunch of information. Dale, thanks for being here for the first time. Definitely listen to that. If you haven't listened to any of the podcasts, make sure you go back and listen to it. Make sure also like the Facebook Flip2Freedom page. I'll give you that link. Make sure you guys like the Facebook Flip2Freedom. So let me give you that link. Like that page, because on Facebook I'll go live and talk about, different, just randomly get on there and start talking and answering questions and stuff like that. So that's another way we can connect, is through Facebook Live. We also do Periscope as well. That's on there, and then also follow as well. We so you guys can connect on Instagram. So profile here. Copy that, and I'll put that. So follow on Instagram too. So go on there. So yeah, so definitely listen to podcasts. That's the way you can engage. Get a lot of great content there for free, which is great. Go to flip2freedom.com, the Facebook Flip2Freedom. I do live cast as well, and then also Instagram. Follow on there as well, and I post stuff there. Pretty much every day, stuff that's going on and stuff that we are doing in the business, which is pretty cool. So get into what we're going to talk about today. Is what I'll do is I will another update too. We, with Velocity Capital, our funding company, was hacked by a Middle Eastern some sort of something. It was weird. So what we got hacked. So we talked to our server, and basically they injected our entire site with malware. So our entire site has been completely hacked. It is down. We're trying to see if we can save the site, or we're going to have to completely rebuild the site from scratch. So I won't answer questions until I'll call for questions, and then I can answer questions for you, and be able to do that. So I just want to give you some updates, and so a couple things that I want to talk about, and then we can get in your questions. So anyway, so basically the site is down. We're going to have to rebuild the entire site, and that means that we can't accept any applications for transactional funding. Our proof of funds letter, because it's on the site, is now down on that site and can't be generated. So we are diligently working to get that site back online, back functioning, back up and running. But until then, if you have a request for transactional funding, which is back-to-back funding, you can email Chelsea at flip2freedom2@gmail.com, flip2freedom2@gmail.com, and ask her. And if you need transactional funding, we can connect you and see if we can get that placed, as long as it's back to back, meaning you have the buyer already lined up, the cash is ready, you're at the same title company. As long as you have those that criteria, then we can fund those type of transactions. Until the site is up, proof of funds will be disabled, or you can't even get to the site to be able to do it. So our web guy is diligently right now trying to take the old site, pull out all the malware so we can either save it, or we're going to have to literally rebuild the entire site that took us months to get it up in the first place. So so I apologize for that. We went on the site one day, and all of a sudden it was hacked. We called our server, and they injected the entire thing with malware, which really sucks, because we took a ton of time putting that site up and getting everything functioning and going. So I do apologize for that, but we are diligently working on that to get that fixed. Okay, so today, I want to talk about, yesterday I had a conversation with one of the Flip2Freedom students, and she, I won't talk about her name, but she got a property under contract for $301,000, right? $301,000, and she was looking for transactional funding to be able to get the deal done. The issue she was having is she couldn't find a buyer for the property. Now, this was a property in Southern California, actually in Northern California, north of LA. So you would think it'd be a good area. So, she's been under contract for about 45 days now, and she's having problem getting it sold. So I said, what's the address? And I looked at the comps, and I pulled up the comps on the property. The house was maybe worth $245,000 to $250,000 max. No, not 200, my fault. 345 to 350,000 max. So her contract acceptance, she got under contract for 301, and this was a bank-owned property, and they weren't going to negotiate on price whatsoever. She had money that was deposits already down. So she was contract priced at 301. And this property's worth 345 to 350 max, right? And she's having a hard time selling the property. So, and she's wanting transactional funding, and maybe to buy, and she wants extended long-term financing. Forget that. We only do it's only transactional funding back to back. You have to have the buyer lined up with their cash ready to go at the same title company, and then we'll fund a transaction like that. But so I looked at the property. I go, why did you offer such a high price on this property? And she said, well, my initial offer was $250,000, $256,000 for the property. I said, okay, that would have been a lot better, right? Because we're at, if let's say it's worth $350,000, even if you go times 70%, that's $245,000. You're a lot closer at $256,000. Still a little bit high than you are at 301. Why did you go to 301? And she goes, well, the agent said that they talked to, that there's, other people bidding on the property, and that if we raised our bid, we could probably get the deal, right? So she went and raised her bid, on this property to 301. And then, she obviously won because she was higher than everybody else. So now she's stuck in a position where she's under contract with this property, and it's too much, right? It's too much. So, what's the biggest mistake we can make as real estate wholesalers? The biggest mistake we can make is signing a contract for a too high a price. So all you new guys on here that's brand new, that's just getting started and stuff like that, that are on here for the first time, like Dale's on here, and Jeff's on here for the first time, and Grace is on here for the first time, and stuff like that, is that colossal mistake. Okay, it can cost you time. It can, like in her case, if they don't refund the money, why did you bid through the realtor? Because it was it's a bank-owned property, and it was, and that's why it was bid through that situation. So she basically told the realtor, and the realtor made the offer, and they got the deal. Bottom line is that it was the realtor came back and said, hey, we're not going to get it at 256. We're going to get it. We can probably get it 300, 301s. They made the offer at 301, got the contract accepted. They put $1,000 earnest money down, and now they're stuck because they can't sell the property because it's a retail deal, right? It's a retail deal. So the biggest thing is you don't be so eager and so excited to just get under contract. You have to be under contract at the right price, right? And that is critical, because here's what, as real estate wholesalers, here's what we're doing. We are essentially average retail market, average days on market, and this is different for every state and every city and even every neighborhood across the country. But you can put a blanket average of about 90 to 120 days. So 90 to 120 days takes the average retail property to sell. What we're doing is we're signing a contract, right, for a 30-day period, right, or 45-day period with a 30-day inspection period or a 45-day inspection period. And our goal as a real estate wholesaler is get such a good deal that we can sell it in 7 days or 10 days or 50 within that time frame. So now it's not gonna take 90 to 120 days. We're gonna get such a smoking deal that a cash buyer is gonna pull out their checkbook, and they're gonna write a check for it because it's such a good deal that they're gonna jump on that deal and want to get that property under contract, right? Because the main reason they're going to jump on it is because of equity. The more equity the property has, the faster you will be able to sell that property. So the bottom line is that people, when they get started, they're so eager to get under contract. Right now, I don't want to scare you from getting away, because here's the situation. In this particular situation, this student, this girl, that got this property under contract, she had to put down $1,000 earnest money. Again, I don't suggest that. I would rather deal directly with a motivated seller and have $10 earnest money on a contract, right? And give myself a 30-day inspection period, where I can do this. And this inspection period was like 10 or 15 days on the inspection period. So again, that's another mistake, right? A mistake is putting $1,000 down. A mistake is having too high of a contract price. A mistake is having a shorter inspection period time frame. So when you put all those mistakes together, it basically makes a bad deal, right? And you don't want to have a situation where you're so excited you just get under contract and you make those small mistakes just to get a deal, right? And the goal is not to just get a deal. The goal is to get a good deal, right? You want to get a good deal because you're selling the property within 7 to 10 days, and there's going to be a significant amount of equity where someone's going to jump on it and be like, I want it, and have 3 or 4 people jump on it where they're going to want that property so bad, they're willing to sign a contract. They're willing to take out an equity loan, get hard money, do it, pay cash, do whatever they got to do to get the sucker closed within their contract time frame. So a buyer's contract is typically 7 days. All of our contracts are 7 days, right? That means they're not going to get a traditional loan. They're not going to get pre-qualified for 4.5% financing. They're not going to put their 10, 20% down. They're going to put 100% of it down, or they're going to have to get a hard money loan at 10 to 12% interest rate, right? So for someone to jump and make that, it has to be a good deal. So a couple different things when you're getting started. Number one is the primary thing is you've got to think when you're negotiating with a property is, who is my buyer? That when you make an offer on the property, right, you're thinking, who is my buyer? Is it and we basically have 3 buyers. We have a fix and flip buyer, right? And a fix and flip buyer is going to buy the property. They're going to put money in for renovation. They're going to hold onto the property, get the utilities on. They're going to take the risk on the property. Then they're going to list the property. Then they're going to sell the property. Then they're going to pay real estate commissions and closing costs and fees. They're going to have to fix up the property prior to closing. They have to get it financed, from another buyer, and then sell it. And hopefully they can make a spread between their buy price, their in cost, their sell price, and their selling cost, right? And hopefully they can make a spread. So the bigger the property, as in price, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, the bigger the spread has to be for this buyer to risk that amount of money. So always ask yourself the question when you are offering on a property, who is the buyer going to be for this property, right? So your first buyer is a fix and flip. So the fix and flip investor, right, their biggest buying decision on what makes them pull the trigger the fastest is the amount of equity the property has. Let's take our example, right? It's worth $345,000, $350,000, right? Right, 345. Let's call it 350 minus 30, and she was selling it for 313. So 350 equals $37,000 divided by 350, right? That's about 11% below market. That's it, 11%. I mean, it's like under 11. It's like 10.5%. So it's 10.5% equity. They're going to have to buy it and fix it, and so the numbers do not compute. So in that particular case, if she would have thought, who's my buyer, a fix and flip buyer would have been out the door, right? Because they could not make their numbers work on that particular deal, right? So the next thing, right? Who is the next buyer? So first off, you're going, is a fix and flip buyer going to buy this property? Well, there's only 10% equity in the property. If they try to fix it and they put 20,000 into it and they hold on to it and they sell it and they got to pay a 6% sales commission on the exit, they're going to lose money on the deal. So that buyer is off the table. So you only got 3 on the table. Now you take that buyer off the table because at 313, the numbers don't make sense, right? Now the next question is, who's the next buyer? Well, you've got a buy and hold investor. So a buy and hold investor, right? They're going to buy the property, they're going to hold it, and they're going to put a tenant in that property for cash flow. So in that particular case, we want to see what the properties around there are actually renting for, right? And you can use this a website called rentometer.com, rentometer.com. In Rentometer, you can put in the address and we'll give you all the rental properties around that particular area, right? Now, if you look at it, and then you can take like a mortgage calculator and say, okay, if someone buys my 313 property, right? And they have like a little mortgage calculator. I think I have one here on my phone. Let me see. Stuff right here, mortgage calculator, loan calc. So it's just a quick calc. So if someone puts 20% down, so on 313 purchase price, 0 times, 20%, that's 62 minus 313. So it's basically $250,000 loan on the property. 0. Okay, so and interest rate, let's say 4.5%, 30 years, results over lifetime. Where's the payment on this thing? They changed the loan calculator, but there's loan calculators online. So anyways, so you can find a loan calculator online, right? And let me see if I can find one. On our website, let me see. I want a simple one though. 250. I'll show you that. Term and loan, 30 years, months, 360, interest rate, 4.5, today's rate, calculate. Monthly payment, including interest and principal, right? So let me show you guys real quick. And I'll show you the site right here real quick. So I just did loan calculator, found the first thing on here. So here's bankrate.com right here, bankrate.com, loan calculator. Right, so I put a 250,000 in. The guy's putting 62,000 down. 30-year term, 4.5% interest. Calculate. It's real simple and easy. You got taxes and insurance. So $1,200 plus he's going to pay. I mean, this is not tax and insurance. This is this interest and principal, right? Interest and principal. Now, if you put taxes and insurance on there, of typically $500 to $600, on there. So now you're going to be $1,900 for something like that. So, so now you're at 19, let's call it $2,000. Well, now you got to go look at what the rentals, and if there's at least a $300 to $500 cash flow, if there's at least a $300 to $500 cash flow, then it could potentially work, assuming, right, there's at least 10 to 20% equity. Now, the more equity and the more cash flow, the better off that buyer is going to be able to purchase a property. So this one has 10% equity, right? And we don't know what the rents in the area are, but we can see if it's going to give us at least $300 to $500 a month cash flow, and then it could potentially be sold to a buy and hold investor. Now, if the rents come back at $1,800 and the mortgage payment's $1,800, that's going to be a very difficult sell. So that means if a buyer, buy and hold buyer is going to purchase that property, they're not going to want to buy the property when there's no cash flow and there's only 10% equity. So when it comes to selling a property to a cash flow investor that's going to buy it for a rental purposes, the more cash flow, the better. The more equity, the better. If you can get 15% to 20% equity, you'll be in a lot better shape than if you do, 10% or 8% equity, right? Because the more equity you get, the better off you'll be. And if you can get cash flow, $300 to $500 or more, that's how you then can market the property as a cash flow property. Right? So that's your second buyer. Your first buyer is fix and flip, and they just want equity, right? They want equity. The second buyer is going to be a buy and hold, and now the margins can be a little bit tighter, but there has to be cash flow, has to be at least, I like 20% equity. So on 20% equity, where does she have to be? Well, if you take 350, 20% is, that's $70,000 off, right? That means, so she should be selling that property for $280,000 is what the actual exit price of the property would be to a buy and hold investor. That's what I would be looking to sell to a buy and hold investor if I was going to raise my price. Now, for a fix and flip investor, I would want to be times 70%, right? 245 is my exit price. So my offer price, I'm going to add minus $20,000. So my offer price on that property is $225,000 on a $350,000 ARV property, and I can sell that property for $245,000 all day long, twice on Sunday. If she had that property for $245,000 put out the market, she would be flooded with calls. She'd be flooded with people. She'd be flooded with HSA's calculator works too. Flooded with a ton of buyers, right? And this is when the business becomes easy. Once you kind of understand and you go, holy cow, all I gotta do is get a smoking deal and buyers come out of the woodworks for it. This business sucks when you have properties that are priced too high and you can't move them because your fix and flip investor says, forget it. $313,000. What's the difference, right? We're talking $88,000 differential. You get $88,000 off on the price. It's huge. That makes or breaks a deal, right? So your third buyer is essentially a long shot buyer, and that is a retail buyer that's paying cash. That is incredibly rare. It's 1 out of 100. It happens. I wouldn't count on it. We do not structure a deal and make an offer on a deal and get a deal under contract based upon the third buyer. We get a deal under contract based upon the fix and flip buyer and based upon the buy and hold. We're selling to investors primarily. Okay, we're selling to investors primarily. So we do not even think or try to sell to those type of to a retail investor. We don't structure, we don't get it under contract, we don't attempt, we don't go, hey, maybe I could sell it to a retail buyer. No, unless I'm physically going to buy the property, I'm going to take the property down and wholesale it, meaning I'm going to do a sweep out job on it and I'm going to turn around and list it. That's a whole different business model, right? And there's risk involved. As a real estate wholesaler, we don't want to take huge risk like that, right? Unless it's a smoking deal. Now, if I got the property at 245, right? 245, and I could sell it and I could put it out on the market for say 230, 229. I mean, 329. So 329, right? Minus 245, and I get the sucker for 255. After I pay real estate commissions and costs, I'll make 60 grand on a deal. So on those type of deals, I might just fund it and take it down, clean it out, and turn around and stick it on the MLS. But in this particular case, there's not a lot of margin in there to make it happen if you're in it for 301 and you're 350 as ARV. So that's when it comes to purchasing properties like that, the bottom line is, you're doing deals like that, focus on getting the good deal and don't be too anxious to get under contract just to get under contract. Getting under contract is not where you make money, right? Getting under contract at the right price on a good deal, that's when you make the money, right? That's when you get a good deal on a contract. And guess what? If she got a good deal on that contract, she got it for $245, and she could sell it for $255, $265 all day long. That's a guaranteed 20 grand on that particular deal, or more on that particular deal, depending how hot that little market is. So that is a huge takeaway, that when you're getting started in this business, really do your numbers, right? Really do your numbers and think about, who is my buyer going to be? And think about your exit price, right? Always, in our office here, we do our Monday morning meeting, and we were at, we did our Monday morning meeting. When was it? It was the other day. So we're sitting around. I'll show you. It's on Instagram. I'll show you Instagram real quick. So see if Instagram right here. Here's the American flag that you see behind me, right there. There's the mirror, there's the office, there's me, and we're all sitting around right here, basically, and we're sitting there talking about, here we're talking about, on particular deals we got contracts under for the week. We're talking about exit plan, right? There's the American flag right there. So we're talking about exit plan. We're saying, okay, what's the exit price? What exit price are you thinking? And he goes, well, I think we have to be in an exit at this price. And they go, okay, so then we look at the exit at that price. Is that a good price? And sometimes we go, well, hey, I think we can push it up a little bit, because I think endings in the area, it looks like a high demand area, and stuff like that. So the bottom line is that you want to make sure, right, in this particular case, that your exit, and you think about your exit, who you're going to exit to, and what price you're going to exit, and then look on the comps. In this particular case, we looked at Redfin, and look on there to see if that is legit. See if that is an actual legit number that you can sell the property at. And if you have other properties, right? There were, in her particular case, I looked at the number 313. There is 2 or 3 other properties that are similar size that are selling for less. That means, think about it, right? 3 cars lined up. They're all the same. And you got one of them that's a higher price, and other 2 that's lower price, but they're all the same. Which one's a buyer going to pick? Which one's an investor going to pick, right? If you look in a neighborhood and you see there's other properties, I like to be the lowest available property that anybody can purchase in the neighborhood. So when we looked at her comps, and I looked in and I said, wait a minute here, you got 2 other properties that are the same exact size that look a little bit nicer. They're tens of thousands of dollars cheaper. Why would someone buy yours, right? It's common sense, So, so doing that. Okay, so let's get into your questions. Okay, you guys are talking about something on here. You and Ann talk about boxes. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, Shui, I'd be happy to answer some questions for you. If you won't, 30-day. Okay, Bobby K. 30 days into wholesaling, strictly drive-bys for distressed, and FSLB, probably 250 letters and 4 bandit signs moving around. No calls yet. Sure, you would agree to ramp it up and try. No, focus on the distress list, right? Focus on pre-foreclosure. You can get from list source, Bobby K, or get Rebo Gateway and get the tax default, right? Those are the 2 lists, that there is great distress inside there. Now, you're doing the right thing. The thing is, though, 250 in a month, you should be doing more. Now, what I would say is you make a goal to do 250 a week if you can. So even if, Bobby K, you have to handwrite letters from your kitchen table, and you commit to doing 25 a night. 25, and let's say you do 7 days a week, that's 175 a week times 4 weeks in a month. That means you're sending out 700 letters. Now, postage right down there, so times, I don't know, what's postage? 22 cents? So it's 154 bucks plus the list and then the paper and stuff like that. So, you can do that. That's how when I basically got started in the business, wrote letters to pre-foreclosures or tax default. Tax default is people that have not paid their property taxes. They want to lose it. You can get that list from Rebuild Gateway. This is from Janice. Can you help explain ARV? So, Janice, when you look, if I can find a property here. Let's see a property we recently closed on. I'm getting a property address. Hold on a sec. Let's do this one. This property is probably not a good example because it's out in the middle of nowhere. What about this one? Okay, this is perfect. Let's look at this house right here. So this house, let me show you real quick, 1 sec. Let me get it up first and then I'll flip it over with you guys. Okay, so this property right here on Potter, that's the property, that's the property right there. Zillow comps, there's a Zestimate, there's Potter right there. So what did we sell this property for? So we did this one, it was this one right here. We basically, ARV was 350, buy price was 255, which is almost the same exactly we're talking about. Sold price 277, and we made 22 grand on this deal. It was February. So this deal we made $22,000 on, this one on Potter. We're looking for ARV comps, right? Look at this house, but well, first off, we got to look. Let me go back real quick. Right. We got to look at two different things on here. We got to look at the square footage, 2766, and we want to get the bed and bath. This is a 4-bed, 3-bath on this property, right? And we want to look at the map. We want to find out where this sucker is, and this is on Potter right here, right? And then this is there. So we're looking for a similar. Like here's Potter right here. So we know if we go here. So we're looking in this neighborhood right here. Now I'm going to go filters, boom, 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 and I'm going to get, because I don't want condos, I don't want townhouses, don't want multifamily, don't want land or anything. I want houses, single family. I'm going to go to active listings, and I'm going to go under contract as well, active and under contract, update search. So here's everything. Property is 2,300. Ours is 27 for 315. 3 pending at 279, right? So this one's pending. So you can't buy that one. 325 for 2,100 for 325. It's a 3-bedroom. 290 at 1,600. 289 for 1,800 pending, and 21. So there is nothing in this area right here for our size. So then what we got to do is this is so I wouldn't go outside. Like people go outside and they go all over the place. I'm looking in this neighborhood for comp. That's what an appraiser's going to do. He's looking here. And if he can't find anything, then he might go out, right? And he might look at surrounding neighborhoods, but he's going to do whatever he can do to find. Now, these are listed properties, right? These aren't sold properties. So what we're going to do is listed tells us what the property, the future price of the property. Sold properties tells us what the price is today, right? So what we do is we want to look at our sold, which I'll do in a second, but I want to look at where the property, where's the market going? So I've got this, what's the closest one I got? 2,300. This is 136 bucks a foot. And what was the size of our house? What, like 27, I think 36 or something like that, times 136 a foot. That puts the property price at, right, at retail property price. And this one has a pool. It's not, I mean, it's not too fixed up, right? So I'm going to take the 136 and I'm going to multiply it times our square footage of 2,700. And now you're talking about a $372,000, you know, property, right? At 21, this one's a 153 a square foot, you know, and these are a little bit, these are two, you know, this is, you got to take the closest one in the property square footage. Now let's go back to filters and we're going to go to sold, right? And now we're going to update. Let's see what's going on in sold. So we got 240, it's 1,200, can't use that. 1,400, can't use that. 295. 2,400, we could use that, and that's 122 a foot, right? We're close. 280, we got 2,700, 280. Now, this property right here, that killed our number right there, right? So I would probably throw that one out. Wholesale deal, right? So what did we sell our wholesale deal for? We sold it for 277. We sold it under this price right here. Right? We sold it under this price right here, and this property is 280. So we sold it under that price, right? To obviously to beat this wholesale comp. For 2,100. Look at that. We get a 290 here for 2,700, and we get a 290 here for 1,800. 1,000 square foot difference. So that tells you that this was a wholesale deal that sold out, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, this is a property. Yeah. 1126 Potter, that's us. There you go. That's us. We're the ones that sold that property. Okay, so anyway, so the bottom line is we're the ones that sold that property. So we set the comp there. So in this particular case, if we're looking in here, and the problem is it's hard. You got 2,100 square feet. Use that one. So I take 122 a foot and then multiply it times our 2,700 something, right? And let's go back to what is it? It's 2,766 times, and we take this one at 122 times 2,766. That gives us about a $337,000 ARV times 0.70. That gives us a 236. So we sold this right here at above 70%, close to 80% of market. Of the market value. So when you're looking at ARV is the highest of the high comps in the area closest to your square footage, right? So let's look at the highest of the high comps. We got 295. We got another 295 for 21. Let's look at 134. So now I take 134 times 2,766. That's $370,000 times 0.70. That's 259, pretty much close to where we sold. I mean, we sold it for 280. But pretty close. That's still 73, 74% of value right there. And we still made $20,000 on the deal. But look at our offer price, right? It was $255 on that deal. So ARV is properties that are, its ARV is after repair value. After repair value. So after repair value means after it's repaired and it's renovated up to 2016 standard, meaning, or 17 standard, meaning has granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, 8-inch baseboard, wood floors, new roofing, AC's updated, landscaping's updated, interior paint, exterior paint, it's tile surround showers and all that type of stuff, right? So that's when you're looking at Janice at ARV. You're looking at the highest priced properties that are currently renovated in a particular market or subdivision. Oh, this is for David. How do you think that this business will change when President Trump rolls back lending regulations? Well, here's the question, right? Will rolling back regulation on banking, scaling back the Dodd-Frank Act, reducing regulations across the country, what will that do for two different things? One, what will it do for jobs? When people get jobs, they turn around and they buy houses, and it creates a robust economy, number one. And number two, jobs, then what's going to do, it's essentially going to drive down inventory. So David, the best way we can do this is watch our current inventory in our market on a monthly basis. So as the inventory constricts, right, and reduces, then, right, the higher the price we can sell our properties. To get properties, right, you got to be, now, I mean, in 2005, when the market in Phoenix and across the country was on fire and it was crazy, the real estate inventory was incredibly low. We were still getting deals left and right? Still getting deals in a super hot market. So don't ever worry about the competition. Don't worry about the competition. Just worry about doing your thing. What happens, though, in a market like this is that you're going to have to offer a higher price to a seller, and you're going to sell it to a higher price to a buyer. As inventory restricts, there's going to be more buyers and less properties for people to buy. They're going to be looking for deals. So if you noticed on that last deal, worth about $370, sold it for what, $290, $80. 370 for about 76%. When the inventory expands, our exit price reduces. So instead of selling for 76, we might have to sell for 70% or 68 or 66%. Right? As inventory restricts and it gets tighter, then we can push our exit price up. That means we can offer more to our sellers. Okay. So now you might get into, like we're talking to one of our sales guys, and he goes, yeah, I was trying to compete against two other offers. There's no way I could go that high. I said, well, let's look at the numbers. We looked at the numbers. It's in a hot market. It's in a good area. I said, you can go more aggressive, go higher in the price, because we can exit on a higher price because the inventory is constricting. And he goes, oh, I didn't know that. So boom. So guess what? He went back and got the contract. So the bottom line is that Trump is going to decrease regulation, which is essentially going to create, well, first off, create more jobs, number two, and then it decrease regulation, become easier for people to get loans, which is going to be easier for people to buy houses. There's going to be more jobs, more houses, going to constrict inventory, and I'm telling you, the prices will soar. The stock market, the stock market's already going, through the roof. It hit over 21,000 today. Already. So the bottom line is that it's all good. All right. All I know is it's a cash grab, and don't, for the guy that's doing Bobby K, you're doing 250 letters a month, ramp it up, do 700 to 1,000 letters a month, handwrite them if you have to, get those deals and flip those deals as fast as possible, because buyers are this was one of the best times in history to capitalize on this and make a ton of cash. Renee asks, when hiring a lead manager, do you recommend a VA or someone local? See, here's the thing, Renee. If you've made under $100,000, if you're between on stage one of the business between 0 to 100,000, if you're between 0 to 100,000, you don't even want to think about hiring anybody. You want to do everything yourself. You want to take all the phone calls. You want to meet with all the sellers. You want to make all the offers. You want to do it around your job. Do the best you can around your job between 0 to 100,000. Once you've been over 100,000, 100,000 to a half a million to 50 area, that area, now you want to start hiring people, right? And the first hire you're going to make is a leads manager, but I would prefer a local person, someone that is English, obviously English speaking, Spanish speaking. We just hired someone new that is bilingual, that is Spanish and English speaking, so then we can send out different marketing pieces for Spanish and English. So the bottom line is that you have to see where you're staged. If you're brand new and getting started, you do not want to hire anybody, because now you go into management mode, you go into training mode, and you get out of production mode. Production mode, the only way you produce income in this business is you market for sellers, you talk to sellers, and you make offers on sellers, you get properties under contract, and you sell the contracts. Management of a VA is not in that mix. Training of a VA is not in that mix. So from 0 to 100,000, don't even think about hiring anybody. 100,000 beyond, and you can start thinking about hiring. Anwar asked, what do you do when a seller wants to back out of a land agreement and the buyer and tenant have paid a deposit? They can't. That's not legally possible. They cannot sell the property on a land agreement, take money, and then all of a sudden back out of the deal and say, I don't want to do it. Okay. I would talk to an attorney and have an attorney record the land contract, the land agreement, and cloud the title, so they can't do anything on that. I would not. Yeah, they can't do that. Okay, this is Anthony. I'm looking to put offers on the MLS. I'm afraid of the earnest money in case that my offer gets accepted. Don't want to put down $500 to $1,000 property. Okay, Anthony, first off, if you're on this call, you have purchased one of my products. And there is not one place in my product except HUD Homes, right, where I talk about making offers on the MLS. Okay, as a getting started brand new type of thing. If you've been experienced and you've been around and you're doing $200,000 or $300,000 in business, then I would attempt to make offers on the MLS. But Anthony, if you are brand new and if you're worried about $500 to $1,000, then you do not want to make offers on the MLS. That's not what I teach. That's not what I teach to do. If you actually go through my course, like 12K in 37 days or even 100K wholesaler, you know, those products, right? Even major market domination, where we talk about virtual wholesaling, none of any type of anything in there talks about making offers on the MLS. Here's the issue with making offers on the MLS if you're brand new. Number one, you're going to have to deal with agents on both sides. Number two, you're not going to get an extended inspection period for 30 to 45 days of the contract. They're going to want to have you a 5 to a 10-day inspection period, which is not enough time to try to sell the property. Number three, they're going to want you to have a $500,000 plus earnest money deposit, and they're going to want to have some sort of bank proof of funds to be able to make that happen. So with all those different obstacles, make offers on the MLS. That's why I don't teach it. That's why I don't talk about it, because the risks weigh out rewards only if you're highly experienced and you know your market inside and out, and you have a huge buyers list where you have no problem selling properties, and you can do a 10 to 15 day, 5-day inspection period, and you're cool with it because you'll close on it, you know, because you know it's a good deal, and you don't care about $1,000. If you lose it, you lose it. If you don't, you don't. That's, you know, where the position you want to be in if you're doing MLS properties. But until you get to that point, don't even think about diving into MLS properties because you're going to find yourself in a tough situation. This is from Kyle. On the Rebo Gateway account I have, do not have the tax default. The other list is notice of default. Notice of default. That's like a pre-foreclosure. Tommy's made $7K yesterday. Loving my real estate life. Send out yellers. Congratulations. Love that. I do not live in the U.S. Where can I go, or who do I speak to get someone to represent me on an appointment, etc.? Okay, if you don't live on the MLS, and hopefully you've taken my major market domination course. In that particular case, I show you exactly where to find people that can help you or JV with you in the market that you choose. So let's say theoretically you choose Dallas, right? You know, Dallas, we have the Flip2Freedom Academy. There's wholesaling houses full time. There's, you actually can go to the HUD website and you can find brokers in that specific area, and they can refer you to one of their newer agents that's just getting started. So if you follow that, and I think you're in that course, then if you are, we talk specifically how to find someone that you can work with in that area. This is Mike Myers. After the distress list, what's the best blanket list? Good question. So, if you listen to the podcast that I just released on direct mail, I kind of go in detail about it, but Mike, to answer your question, what we do is create what's called a property avatar. A property avatar is if you have the data in your business, or you can search the data right. So what we do, we have taken all of our properties in the last 12 months that we have made over $20,000 on, right? So we have all of our couple hundred properties, and we take the properties on top that we've made, at least $20,000 on. Out of those properties, we have all the zip codes on where the deals have closed. Then we can look at all the properties, and we can determine the age of the property, how many bed and bath the property is, what the property square footage is, and we put a 10-year ownership blanket on there. Then what we do is we pull all the records of owner occupants and non-owner occupants in that specific area, and those zip codes with that specific criteria, and then we mail that list. That's called our top zip code list. Reverse engineer it. If you don't have that data, Mike, then you can go into ListSource. You can pull all the buyers that have purchased properties, cash, 100%, in the last 6 months. And then you can go look at the properties they actually purchased. And then out of those properties, you can pick the ones, and you're gonna have to have the all the data on there that's going to show the acquisition price and the assessed value price. And then you can do a pivot table search on the ones with the most amount of equity, and then take those zip codes and then look at the property itself, and that's in the spreadsheet, what year it was built, how many square feet it was, and stuff like that. And then kind of reverse engineer it that way. This is from Johnny. Hi, I live in Brooklyn, New York. I have been told that other. I would say it would be difficult. If you're trying to do deals in Manhattan, it's going to be difficult. But if you go outside, if you do deals in Brooklyn, you do deals in Jersey. I know guys that are crushing it in Jersey right now. They're doing $100,000 deals left and right in Jersey right now. So you might have to go beyond Brooklyn to go out and do deals. But look at Jersey, look at like Hoboken, Jersey, over the bridge. Look at other parts of Jersey, but so don't limit yourself to Brooklyn. This is from Jamie. What's the best way to get around restrictions when wholesaling REOs and short sales? First off, Jamie, I do not do short sales. I don't do it for that restriction. The best way to do it is buy it, renovate it if you want, take it down and resell it. But don't try to undercut, don't try to skip corners, don't try to deed or do trust deals or any of that type of stuff. Because, you know, do something like that and it showed that your intent was to basically, you know, go against, or I don't even know the right word, but to circumvent the restrictions, then you could be in legal trouble. So I would not risk my real estate career to make a buck and try to get around restrictions on stuff like that. So I would work within the restrictions. If you've got a smoking deal and you have a 90-day seasoning period or holding period on a short sale, if you have the funds, buy it and wait the 90 days and turn around and sell it, right? That's what I suggest. If you have an REO and you can't sell it for more than 120% of the or 20% higher than the purchase price, then you sell it for 20% higher than the purchase price. Don't try to circumvent it. Don't try to get around it. Don't try to do any of that type of stuff. I've heard of too many people that have done that and found themselves in big trouble, and you don't want to be in big trouble. Here's the deal, Jamie. There's too many deals. There's way too many deals out there that are for motivated sellers that you don't have to deal with restrictions. They're a lot easier to deal with. There's no red tape or any of that type of stuff. So I wouldn't even do that. This is from Shakira. I have pre-foreclosures in my area. I'm not sure exactly how to approach or what to use, the structure of these deals. First off, pre-foreclosures and target as if they're equity deals, right? Pre-foreclosures, we have a course called Convert More Deals, but Seller's Code that goes through in detail on structure any deal known to man, right? From seller financing to pre-foreclosures and stuff like that. So if you want to learn more about that, you can reach out to Chelsea at flip2freedom2@gmail.com, flip2freedom2@gmail.com. You can directly to some information to that. But the bottom line is structure it as a wholesale deal. Don't worry about that. As long as it has equity, structure as a wholesale deal, get it under contract, and make sure it has equity and turn around and resell it. When mailing cash buyers, what letter or postcard do you use? Mike Myers asking this. We don't use a letter or postcard. What we use is the actual property that we have. So we just sent out 250 flyers of a property that we have in New Orleans right now with a $20,000 spread that we just dropped and mailed out. And calls are coming in and we'll have the property sold. So we'd actually take the flyer, a picture of the property details, information about the property, our phone number on there, who to call us, and the what we believe the value is and the purchase price, just basically a property flyer that you'd make on VFlyer. So if you go to V like the victorflyer.com, vflyer.com, if you go there, you make a flyer, that syndicates it all over the web, but then we take that flyer, print it out, and then we send that out and use that as a mailer. Having property in the Bay Area. Bay Area is it's a very high demand area. There are several people up there that's crushing it in the Bay Area. They don't do a lot of deals, but they do big deals. I'm talking $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 deals. So don't give up, Olga. There, you can keep mailing and keep looking for those deals. Make sure you follow up with every single person. Make sure you make offers on every single person. Follow up with them like crazy. And, you're not going to do a ton of deals out of there, but you are, the deals that you will do will be huge. Okay, so this is it Noah? Nori? Nora? Nori? I need my glasses because I can't see. But anyways, hey, Sean, I'm about to send out my mailers through Rebo Gateway for the first time. About how many letters would you say I need to send out before getting a deal? Here's the numbers. The numbers are basically 25 leads, actual leads, to get one deal. So if you send out 100 letters and get 10 leads, well, you need obviously 10 more leads. If you send out 200 letters and get 20 leads, it's about 25. Now, you might talk to 30 leads and then get one deal, and then or 60. You might talk to. I've had people here and say, "Oh my gosh, I've talked to 68, people, leads I've made offers on. I've got no deal yet." And then they get on the next coaching call and goes, "Oh my gosh, I got 3 more calls and 2 of them are deals." Right? Or 3 of them deals, whatever. And they got the next 3 calls were deals. So it's like the numbers pan out, but the numbers are roughly 1 in 25 is a deal. 1 in 25 leads, not calls. So let's determine the difference between a lead and what is a lead and what's not a lead. A lead, if you have call, 4 people say, "Take me off your list. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm not selling my house." And 6 of them say, "Okay, I'm thinking about selling." You don't have 10 leads, you have 6 leads. You take the people that say, "Take me off list." That's your response rate, and then your gross leads are those are the leads that you actually are going to appointments with. Yeah, this one, Dave. Does the number of tax default vary from month to month regarding? Yes, they do, because some people reinstate, their taxes, their property taxes, and then, so they fall off and then new ones come on. So yes, it varies every month. This one from Carlos. What is the best list? Okay, there's 5 lists. There's the vacant list from 5 Motivated Sellers Now. There's the tax default list from Rebo Gateway. There's the pre-foreclosure list. There's the inheritance list, and there's the probate list from Probate Daily. Now, if I was going to start out today, I would hit the pre-foreclosure list and I hit the tax default list. Those are the 2 lists I would hit ASAP. And then I'd move into the vacant list third. Selling manufactured homes. If they're attached to the dirt, no problem. If they're not attached to the dirt, forget it. So this is from Q. When getting a tax default from Rebo Gateway, do these people have a certain amount of time to pay taxes, like 1, 2, 3 years, or can we buy these properties immediately? What happens is when someone essentially is in tax default, the county has sold their taxes to an investor who purchased the taxes, and that usually a seller has a redemption period for 1, 2, 3 years, depending on the state, depending on the county and the city across the country. So during that redemption period, they can pay the taxes, redeem, and then they won't. If they don't redeem the property at the end of time, it goes off to an auction. They can lose the property. So it's basically an indicator of financial distress. And we've picked up a lot of houses that way from sellers that some houses they just don't care about. They just are letting it go, and then we can come in and we can purchase a property for next to nothing. How do you determine if you're in a good market or not? If you're in a market where there's, I mean, who just sent a story in? I mean, there's a guy he basically has 7,000 houses in his market. He did a first deal. So a good market is, and it's, I look at a good market as in size, right? The bigger the market, the better. So if you're looking at Dallas or Houston or something like that, Any market across the country is a good market because there's always distressed sellers. So the question is, what's your available list of people that are distressed, right? You know, and you might be in an area where you live in a very small town and you're going to have to go to a next bigger town to be able to scale your business. But every market across the country has distressed sellers that want to sell. It doesn't matter what market you're in. Sean, when looking at what to buy for and wholesale it, what kind of speed do you want to leave it for an investor normally? Type of speed. Spread. Okay, spread. Your number, right, on a wholesale fix and flip is going to be 70% less fees, right? So if you give someone, and again, it depends. You could be in a very robust market where you're just like I said, we sold that property at 70, almost 76% of value. So if there's a ton of stuff going on, it's a nicer house, it's a newer house, there's a lot of pending properties in the area, you can push that up. The rule of thumb is, for the amount of spread, is about 30% spread that you want to leave for the investor. Perfect. "21 years as a broker. That's awesome. Congratulations, Janice. Whole new beginning." But you know what's good, Janice? You know real estate. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of people are getting started and they don't know anything about real estate or know comps or how to pull comps or understand real estate. So you're ahead of the game there. It's pretty cool. Distressed seller calls you to listen for physical distress of the property and financial distress. What are good questions you can ask in those questions? Guy, if you are part of our 12K in 37 days, 100K wholesaler at any one of our programs, I give you an entire script and what to listen for exactly for that. So, Guy, I give you exactly what to listen for with financial distress, circumstantial distress, physical distress, what the questions ask, I get all that stuff in the script for that. So go into 12K in 37 days or whatever, even in 100K wholesaler, I give you all the scripts for it. What does the Find Motivated Sellers Now website useful for? Primarily to pull vacant properties. That's the best place I know to get vacant properties that we mail every month. So how do I get started with foreclosures? Well, there's pre-foreclosures, and I would not do regular foreclosures or bank-owned properties because you're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of stuff, which I do not teach. And pre-foreclosures, properties that are about to go to foreclosure, that process is, I teach it in 12K in 37 days, exactly what to do. So so you said pre-foreclosures. The process: you pull a list, you send a mail, you take the calls, you book an appointment, and you make an offer that works. And that's it's the exact same process as if there was no pre-foreclosure. Now there's some deal structure that you can do on it, but I would just right now, just getting started, I would completely focus on just getting equity deals that will that have equity in the property that you can structure that has at least 70% or more equity, so you can flip it. What do I think about fire damage properties? Should we consider doing that? Heck yeah. Fire damage properties, as a newbie, yes. Let me do something real quick. Where is... Let me see if I can... Hold on a sec. Log in. Okay, well, it's not letting me log in. I'm not gonna be able to show it to you, but anyways, the bottom line is yeah, fire damage are great properties. You can make a ton of money on it. Do you focus just on that? No, but what you do is you, if a deal comes in that's fire damaged, don't don't pass on it, because those end up being great deals. Do I need to register my business with the state before I start? If only have an FEIN sold per property, can I use that to pay my taxes using DBA until I get going? What I tell people, Kimberly, is just get started. Don't worry about all that. Focus on sending your mail, talking to sellers, making an offer, get a property under contract, and turn around selling it. Don't worry about all that stuff. Once you complete your first deal, then you can set up an LLC, and then you can worry about that whole aspect of it, setting up an LLC, doing a DBA and stuff like that. But I would not worry about that until you get your first deal, you're up and going, and focus. People get started and they go, oh, I've got to get my LLC set up, I got to get my business set up, I got to register it, I've got to get my business cards, I got to get my shirts, I got to get my letterhead, I got my pads. All that I don't teach. Okay. All that is after you get your first deal. You've got to create momentum. What happens is people do all that stuff and they lose their excitement and lose their momentum because they're too busy setting up stuff. How much money do you make setting up stuff? Nothing. You make money in this business by sending mail, talking to sellers, making offers, getting property into contracts, and selling contracts. That's the only way you make money. Now, once you've made money and you understand the process and you've got momentum, then take $300 or $400, go turn around and get an LLC set up a bank account, do your submit your DBA, and then go to work, right? And I didn't have business cards for like the first year I got started because I was busy hustling. What percentage you invest back in the business? When you're first starting, 15%. When you start scaling, up to 25%. So this is Donna. Hey, I'm in Nevada, non-judicial state. A homeowner's in pre-foreclosure. If they decide to let me mortgage payments and walk away, can the lender chase them for any money? Okay, so they are in pre-foreclosure. I honestly, my answer would be no, but I would check with an attorney in Nevada. Okay, so what we do with pre-foreclosures here in Phoenix is, if there's a situation where there's a pre-foreclosure and they want to walk away, and let's say they deed us the property, now I own the property, right? What I would do is then reinstate the loan. Let's call it $5,000 or $10,000 to reinstate the loan. Now I own the property and the mortgage is in place, right? In that particular case, now I could turn around and fix it. I could rent it. I could sell it because I own the property, even though the mortgage is in the seller's name, right? So, so that can be done. Now, I know that there's certain lenders, or loans that will call the note due and sale if that transfer happens. Like if it's an FHA loan, they don't like doing that. DA typically doesn't have a problem. Regular conventional loans typically don't have a problem as long as the payments are made. But there could be a risk of that happening. So So this is Mark. Who do you make offers to on pre-foreclosures? The homeowner? Yes. So the homeowner is the one that owns the property, and pre-foreclosure means that they basically have not paid their mortgage payments. And in this particular case, they're still the homeowner until the bank takes back the property, which is now called an REO, real estate owned. They still own the property and they have the right to sell the property. Is it too difficult to make offers on foreclosures for newer investors getting started? Okay, let's clarify, Mark, what foreclosures are. First off, there's foreclosures which are owned by the bank. That's called REOs, or real estate owned, right? Foreclosed properties. Foreclosed properties are owned by the bank. For a newbie, I do not suggest getting started with that, because now you're dealing with a bank, you're dealing with professional, you're agents, you're dealing with earnest money, you're dealing with proof of funds, you're dealing with small time frames. Pre-foreclosures, as we just talked about, is we're dealing directly with homeowner that's in distress. That is who you want to deal with. This is from Richard. What's the best way to get over the real estate roller coaster? Closing a deal, then not closing another deal for another month or two. I want to become more consistent with closing deals. Just signed up for CallRail and sent out mail. Inherited list, and also, okay. Richard, here is the deal on how to create consistency in your business, right? The number one thing that will create consistency is a direct mail marketing plan that you stick to. Essentially, you say, I'm going to mail, right, 10,000 letters over the next 5 weeks. So you go, out of the next 5 weeks, I'm going to do 10,000 letters. That means I'm going to commit to doing 2,000 letters a week. And Richard, you might be able to do that or not, right? You can do what you can do in a week. What we do is we drop anywhere from 15 to 25,000 letters a week. And we have basically, I've sent them a list of 150,000 names. We take those 150,000 names, we divide it up by, say 6 weeks, and that's, 150 divided by 6 weeks. That's 25,000 letters a week. And basically every week they'll bill me, and then we, either put it on the credit card, bill me, and then the mail drops. Every week, bill me, the card drop, bill me, and you set up, it's batched out every single week, no matter what. At the end of the 150,000, after the end of the 6 weeks, we go back, we look at the data, we see what worked, we change up the letter. We, instead of sending a yellow letter, we'll sell a branded, we'll send a branded. Instead of sending a branded, we'll send a postcard. We'll hit the distress list every single month. So the bottom line is that we have it batched out every single week. So mail is dropping every single week, and we fluctuate based upon the revenue coming in Google AdWords. So then we'll fluctuate our Google AdWords up and down. Some weeks we'll put a daily budget of $500 a day. Some weeks we'll put a daily budget of $2,000 a day, because we have a ton of revenue that came in. If we got $150,000 a week, then guess what? We'll ramp up our marketing on Google AdWords, and we'll put $2,000 a day. We'll crush it out. We'll get more leads coming in, get more deals coming in, and then we'll crank it, and then we'll get more contracts, go more deals, and we'll scale it up to the next level. If we have a tight week and we close, say, 20,000 for the week, which is pretty bad for us, close 20,000, then we're going to basically, we still got our direct mails being batched, right? And it's dropping every single week, but then we're going to tighten up our budget, maybe do $200 or $300 a day on Google AdWords. Mike Myers, since Postless is normal, what do you recommend? I recommend VFlyer, Victor Flyer, vflyer.com. It's the same thing as Postlets. This is Thomas. After purchasing Reveal Gateway for my account, I find out that they do not have pre-foreclosure or tax default. Only notice of list pendants. If I pull the list, 270 names each, give or take. Should I go larger or just try to find some other program list? Where are you, Thomas? Is that there's no? I would probably see if you can get a refund on Repo Gateway. I'd probably cash that in, because you can get a list, you can get your list pens and stuff like that from like List Source, and buy it every month, right? You know, but, or, you know, buy like Find Motivated Sellers Now, and you can get the vacant list. But I would make sure that they have that vacant data in your area first before you start pulling, you know, before you start. Ask them if they have that. They have a good customer support over at Find Motivated Sellers Now, REWW. Yeah, that sucks if it's a non-disclosure state and they don't have that information in there. So, what, 2 or 3 states in the entire U.S. that don't have that. So I would maybe try to get that. I would hit all 270 for sure, and then hit the vacant list from Find Motivated Sellers Now. So this is from Grace. What do you recommend for those of us who are just starting out finding sellers? If someone has Find Motivated Sellers program, then the Repo Gateway is an additional cost, but there are some customers list. What are your advice to someone with? With 0 to 100, I would start, if you have Find Motivated Sellers Now, start with a vacant list right now. Start with a vacant list and start dropping the vacant list and start talking to sellers, making offers. So, hey, Sean, I'm working on a deal in Daytona Beach area. Seller won't move off of 480K, needs about 20K in rehab. ARV is 585 to 600. Is it possible to make a deal out of this? Let's look. Okay, so the question, Chris, first off, beach is I would look at, say, Repo Gateway, Chris. I mean, not Repo Gateway, like Zillow, or look at Redfin, and see if there's a lot of activity, a lot of pendings, and what your days on market for the area. So if your days on market in the area are pretty good, meaning they're under 30 days, then, that would be considered a hot little subdivision. So now let's take your 600 number times 0.70 is going to put you at 420. The seller won't move. The seller won't move off the 480. So here's how I'd handle that deal, Chris, so you don't get yourself in a bind. What I would say is listen, Mr. Seller, 480 doesn't work for me personally. It's not going to, my number is going to be a lot lower than that, work. But I work and I network with a group of investors that are always looking for deals. I actually have some investors from Canada, and they can tend to pay a lot higher than I can pay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to sign a contract with you, but it's going to be subject to me finding an end buyer, subject to me talking to and I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not going to represent you in this thing, but what I'm going to do is, for goodwill, I'm going to see if I can help find you a buyer for this property at your 480 price, right? And $480,000 price, and because I give them property, sometimes they give me a finder's fee for being able to bring a property like this. But what I can do is I can be able to have a contract on the property. These guys tend to pay higher, and then that could give us an opportunity to do business together. So if you do that, now you're straight up with them. You're saying it doesn't work for me, but I know some people, and the contract is subject to finding an end buyer. So you put contract subject to finding an end buyer, and give yourself a 30-day inspection period just to be sure. So now you're good. So now you're talking to them and say, hey, I talked to a couple of my buyers, the 2 guys I talked to, the one guy says it's priced too high. Another guy doesn't like the area, but I got a couple more people I'm talking to. I'll keep posted. So now you're keeping them posted on the property. Now, let's say it is a smoking area. Let's say it is a smoking deal, and you put it out for, say, $495, right? And there's still $85,000 spread on it. Maybe someone's going to jump on it, and they're going to buy it, and guess what? You're set. So they get a contract for $485. You found the end buyer. You go to closing. You make profit. But now you're straight up with the seller, everything's good to go, and you're not, if you sign at 480, it might be a little high. Now you're stressed out because you're trying to find a buyer and this buyer, you know what I mean? So now if you do that with a seller, then all's good. And we do that on a lot of deals. If it doesn't work for us, we'll go say, listen, we'll do a contract. We have some other buyers that might be able to pay higher than us. Let me see what we can do. With Rebuild Gateway, but my county, there is no data for tax default or probate. Probate, what should I do? Should I cancel and go to a different provider? Probably, Rick. I really do like the tax default in there. If they don't have it, I'd probably pass on that list. After doing your comps, how do you know if you have a good deal? Because you're going to do your comps, right? And if you can get the property under 75% of the value and there's going to be equity there, you got a deal. If you look at your comps and everything's just like we just talked about, he's at 585, right? He needs to be at 420, but I go back to the seller and say, hey, listen, it might be a hot area. You go back to the seller and say, hey, listen, I need to be at 420, but I have some buyers that could buy at 480. It's not a guarantee, but I can talk to them. We'll sign a contract subject to me finding an end buyer. Give me at least 30 days and see what I can do. When doing letters, can I use a Magic Jack phone number when doing the letters? We always use in Gamma. What I can say is, if you go through my course, a lot of you guys haven't even gone through the course yet, and that's why you're asking these questions. If you go through my course, I tell you to use CallRail. CallRail is what we use for all of our tracking, all of our phone numbers, everything we do, and I never teach how to use a Magic Jack phone number to do it. Okay, if you want to have CallRail and CallRail goes to a Magic Jack, then fine, but that's not, you want to scale the business. Calling, not right now. I know people that do it, but we don't do it right now. Do you include a website for their information? No, we don't. And if you use the letters and postcards that we use, right, inside of .com/Flip2Freedom, and if you actually go through my course and follow it, I actually give you the website and I show you what letters to use and how to use it. If you actually go through that stuff, you'll see that we do not put website on there at all. We want one call to action on our page. Best list from Rebuild Gateway, I like the taxed default list. The best list from List Source is the list pre-foreclosure or notice of default list that they have. I may miss an answer to my question because the subway may go under the disclosure states. Cool. Do you have different phone numbers for each? Good question. This is from Anthony. So we previously said that we send postcards. So if we have a list, right, and the list is 100,000, or it could be 10,000, it could be 5, it could be 2,000. It doesn't matter what the number is, right? If we send that list, it gets a different phone number. A yellow letter, it gets a different phone number. A branded letter, it gets a different phone number. We want to test the response to the list. Now, if we switch lists, gets a different phone number, even though we're sending the same letter. So any variable that changes, we're getting a different phone number, right? A different list gets a different phone number, and a different mail piece gets a different phone number. Do you send every lead to cash offer? Also, if you turn down the cash deal, do they any? offer any. First offer, Shard, we own 99% of the offers we make are in person. So what we do is we have 2 sales guys going on 20 appointments a week. And those 2 sales guys go, they go on 20 appointments a week. And they're going meeting sellers, making offers all week long. Hamilton County, and I spent $1,200. Will he give a refund? I don't know. You have to call him. Call John Carhart at Harcar and say, listen, you don't have the information we need. I don't work for the company. I don't represent the company. I don't get paid anything from the company. I just use their list. And in Phoenix, they have the information is provided. I know in some counties, obviously apparently in Hamilton, they don't. But if they didn't have the county, then I would probably have to refund it. If it was me. And I'd use Find Motivated Sellers Now or ListSource to be able to get that data. All right, guys, that is it for today's call. Thank you guys so much for being with me. I greatly appreciate it. Go out there and start mailing. We'll see you in 2 weeks back here. Make sure you go listen to the podcast. Follow us on Facebook, /Flip2Freedom, the fan page. Follow on Instagram, Flip2Freedom. And we do live cast every so often, and definitely listen to the podcast. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you in a couple weeks. Go out, crank it out.